Welcome back, everybody, to Rantpocalypse Talks The Strain. I'm Justin, and thank you so much for joining our channel. Before I get into my review of The Strain, I've got a bone to pick with The Strain. In order for that bone to be picked, we've got to go back in time, all the way back to last week.
The special effects, they're just really damn good on this show. Say what you will about the story and about some of the things the characters do. Special effects are top-notch. The special effects, you just can't say anything about them, in my opinion, because they're fantastic.
Oh my god. What the fuck is this?
Damn you, FX and The Strain. I was just singing your praises last week, and then you go and do this to me. You make me look like a fool in the very next episode when we're getting the scenes between Quinlan and Old Lady on Carrie. Whenever they are walking through those mountains, woo! Gee whiz. Did that look really bad. I know that this is probably just being super nitpicky, and yes, I am indeed spoiled by Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones being filmed in actual locations that are in the mountains. You know, whenever they're at the wall, like they're out there in places that genuinely look like they would be a part of the wall's scenery. Ooh, whenever we saw this in this episode, I was like, dang, they are literally walking by a green screen that they have now placed a mountain behind them. But that's alright, there was a lot of other good stuff / great stuff to like in this episode. And in this episode, Satrakian and Fett race to recover the Oxidolumen. Gus and Angel, they try to hide a secret house guest while avoiding a police sweep, and Quinlan's thirst for vengeance is revealed. Probably the number one most badass and my favorite thing from this episode is the flashbacks. This is something that The Strain does really well, and they've done this well over the last couple of seasons. I will say that probably the best stuff that came out of season 2 were the flashbacks between Ephraim, and we see flashbacks on Palmer, we see flashbacks on the Master. There's another show that I like to watch on the CW called The Arrow, and that show also uses flashbacks, but sometimes they use flashbacks to the detriment of the rest of the show as well as the story, because you're like, these flashbacks are so convoluted and they use them so much, but not so in The Strain. Not only do the flashbacks connect with what's going on in the show, but they give us the backstory on some of these characters, because we know that these characters, such as Abraham Satrakian, he has been hunting the Strigoi for decades. And it's nice to see some of the things that have happened in the past, like the meeting with Palmer. Those were really cool things that we get to see. Plus, when it relates to this episode, we really get to see exactly who Quinlan is and the motivations for why he wants to kill the Master so badly. I really liked how they used Ankarie's character in this, and the fact that she is basically, for all intents and purposes, Quinlan's mom. And it was really disheartening whenever the Master makes Quinlan choose to kill his mom. I love the scene. It was a fantastic scene. The fact that Ankarie, she wants to sacrifice herself in order for Quinlan to survive, because she does know that, you know, he is the one that's prophesized. He is the one that will take out the Master. But it was very sad, because I really liked those moments. They were very touching between those two. And I love the fact that through these flashbacks, we now empathize with the character of Quinlan. Before, he was just a badass dude. Like, he was like this guy that comes into the show, he kicks ass, he's got all the amazing abilities that the Strigoi have, but he doesn't want to take out humanity like the Master and his minions do. So that's why we really like Quinlan. But now we also like Quinlan because we see just how terrible he was treated by the Master, and you're like, now I really want to see the Master die at the hands of Quinlan. So I loved everything to do with the flashbacks. I thought they were perfect. Yet again, kudos to the Strain writers, the directors, everybody that puts those flashbacks together, minus that one scene. That's okay. Every once in a while, you can't have it all, people. We can't have amazing special effects for every single scene. I also thoroughly enjoyed the final scene, and that's everything included with the final scenes of this episode. The fact that, is he or is he not dead? I like how they left us off with that question. Yes, that crazy, creepy-ass big worm got away, but the Master as we know him in Bolivar's body it seems to be that he is done, which is kind of sad because I actually liked him being in Bolivar's body. The guy that plays Bolivar, he's got this menacing look to him. I don't know if it was all like the gothic stuff whenever he was in that band. That was totally bullshit, by the way. But there was just something about him that was scary. Now, Robert Maé as the Master was definitely scary because dude is freaking huge. But it was a different type of menacing look that Bolivar had. So I'm very curious to find out exactly what goes down next. Who does the Master's worm take over at this point? I loved everything leading up to Quinlan chopping his head off, and that included somebody finally figured out how to use the oxydolumen, and that's literally just beating the shit out of the Strigoi with the oxydolumen, which was incredible to see. I love the fact that F is just beating the crap out of him. He's blocking Strigoi tongues with the oxydolumen. He's burning their faces off with the oxydolumen. Way to go, F. It's about damn time that somebody figured out how to use that freaking book. I also love the usage of the silver grenades. I think those are probably the coolest weapons that have been utilized on the show. I want to see silver grenades in video games now. Maybe there are in video games already and I didn't play that game, but the silver grenades are freaking amazing. I love when they threw them out and it just like just basically almost evaporated some of those other Strigoi. Definitely hurt the Master tremendously. It led to Quinlan coming in and chopping his head off. Those silver grenades are amazing, so I love that so much. And yeah, that's kind of like the final question that you leave off with in this episode is, what's going to happen next? I know next week's episode is entitled Gone But Not Forgotten. I really hope that doesn't mean that Quinlan's actually dead as well. That was a question that came up in our podcast, was what happens to Kelly after this? Because she's tied to the Master much like Quinlan is, but we didn't see her because she was off screen at this point. So I'm very curious to find out, does the Master reach out to Kelly? Is that where that worm is headed? Is Kelly now going to become the Master on the Strain TV show? I think that would be very interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so definitely leave them in the comment box down below. So overall, I really like this episode. I will give it 4.5 out of 5 bacons. I love the pairings. Quinlan and F are gold together. You know, we've always loved Satrakian and Vasily Fett. Like, they have been, to me, along with Palmer and Eichhorst, the gold standard of pairings on the show, and I think we can now add Quinlan and F to that. Hopefully Quinlan's not dead, surely not. Rupert Penny Jones, I believe that is his name, that plays Quinlan. He does a phenomenal job illustrating emotions through all this makeup that he has on. He does a fantastic job, and I love the pairing of those two because they play off one another so well. Ephraim is such a smartass, but Quinlan throws it right back to him. It's so good, so we definitely need to see more of that going forward. I'd have to say that the only reason why a half bacon was taken off is because of the sheer idiocracy of the Angel and Gus storyline. I don't know where they're going with this storyline, and I'd have to say that 99.9% of the fans that watch The Strain are like, what the hell are you doing with this? Because Gus's character in the books, he's pretty awesome, he's pretty badass, as well as Angel's character. Angel's character in the show is still good. Don't get me wrong, like, I still like him, but what the hell is Gus doing? He literally led to this, at least one of these sweep team police officers being killed because he wants to protect his Strigoi mom. Like, we've already seen this before. Zach did this all last season. We don't need this shit again. And then whenever, at the end of the episode, when Chet from Weird Science conscripts them into their police force now, no. Just, no. Don't do that. It would be way cooler if Gus and Angel got enlisted in the Freedom Centers, because that's something that I think they really need to explore, and I hope they do in the back half of Season 3, is just how creepy these Freedom Centers become in the future. And I really would like to see Angel and Gus being trapped there in these Freedom Centers, and hopefully maybe that's what happens with their storyline, because at this point I have no clue what they're doing with Angel and Gus's storyline. I don't know, maybe it's just me, I just did not like it, so I had to take a half bacon away, but 4.5 bacons. I'm loving The Strain. It has been a really fantastic start to the season. I can't wait to find out what happens next week in Gone But Not Forgotten. And leave all your comments, because I'm done talking, so leave them all down there in the comment box. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.